A lovely afternoon to you. Welcome to World at Noon. My name is Remy Allen. Queues are back at few stations in Akure, Ondo State capital, as some petrol marketers have capitalized on the statement of President Bola Tinubu on the removal of subsidy during his inaugural speech. While budgetary provision for fuel subsidy is expected to end by the end of June, some residents expressed the need for government to clamp down on saboteurs whose action could be inimical to ending the subsidy regime or to inflict undue hardship on Nigerians. Osrc's Zaid Arisala captures the situation and now reports.
The intention and plans to remove fuel subsidy has been on the card for a Bola Tinubu presidency during campaigns for the nation's top job. But on the big day of his inauguration as the country's democratically elected president, Tinubu did not mince word on the issue, which has defied several administrations. He simply said, subsidy is gone.
The budget that have clipped before I assume of and what I've had is that no provision is there for fuel subsidy. The fuel subsidy is gone.
The authority, which is words carry, began to materialize quickly. Long queues resurfaced at petrol stations, pump prices shot up to as high as 1,000 naira per litre in some locations across Nigeria.
Yeah, the issue is secure to the announcement that subsidy will be removed. At least I'm coming out from Osrc State. In the morning I bought for 290. As I was coming back, it is now 350, 400. So it's secure to the announcement by the new president that subsidy will be removed. The only major issue we are having is that people are the problem of this government. For instance, the fuel that we are buying now, they bought it with subsidy. Now it is what they have in stock. They are now what they are selling at exorbitant rates, which is not fair.
I'm coming from Lagos just now. It's the same thing, but these people, they want to suffer the masses, not the government. Everything is on government. As the government said they should not sell fuel. No, the Tinubu regime said it's not going back on subsidy. It's already. It doesn't say they should increase or they should not sell.
While long queues at different stations have surfaced in Akure, Ondo State capital, some marketers still maintain status quo, selling at 195 naira per litre or around 240 naira per litre, while others have begun cashing in on the situation.
I got it for 225 per litre. So, and I believe with time, think we cope with Buhari, and I believe this one too will be okay. And I believe it will not be like this forever.
Yesterday we get here, we won't buy fuel. They write 240, we come on, say it's too high. But today now we enter now. What is on the screen is different from what he's selling. He's selling 400 naira per litre and he writes 240 on the screen.
How do you feel about this situation?
It's bad. We are the one that is doing ourselves.
Findings reveal that some fuel stations having the product have since that pronouncement by the president shut operations, a situation leading to more lamentation from Nigerians.
Nígbà tí bàbá gbọ̀pá ṣe ló tẹ́ gbogbo akáyì máa ṣe ṣọ̀mùṣọ̀mù táwọn ọba ìjẹ́ kan lọ́dún tí lè kó wọn pa nígbà tí kì í ṣe kí wọ́n sọ fún wọn pé kò ní sépo wọn sọ fún wọn pé iye báyìí ni kọ́ máa tepo epo sì wà ń bẹ̀ epo wà ń bẹ̀ tó yẹ kọ́ máa tà fún wa ká máa gbádùn ká pé àti ẹ̀ńdúpẹ́ pẹ́lọ́pẹ́ lórí tó dáa tàdé wàá tàbí sáfẹ́ nira ọlá aṣọ ẹ̀kọ́ rí bẹ́ẹ̀.
Stakeholders in the oil and gas sector have taken different sides on the approach to the subsidy removal. The Independent Petroleum Marketers Association, IPMAN, opposed the plan by President Bola Tinubu to enforce his predecessor's decision to remove the subsidy on fuel by the end of June, while the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited welcomed the pronouncement, urging citizens not to panic buy. The chairman of all athletes of Nigeria Union of Petroleum and Natural Gas Workers, NUPENG, in Ondo State, Adekunle Adewale, welcomed the president's decision, describing it as a necessary step for greater good.
Numbers of product that comes out from the crude oil. There are a lot of numbers of product that comes out of. Why is it only these three products or this one product? Because diesel has been removed, kerosene has been removed. Why are we deceiving ourselves on this only one product?
Residents of Akure frowned at the action of the oil marketers and emphasized the need for Nigerians to shun man's inhumanity to man. They called on government to put mechanism in place to forestall marketers taking undue advantage of citizens.
We have a new government and I think we should be celebrating. We should not be crying. I think nothing needs to be done. Government should send a task force. They should go to all these police stations, each police stations. What the president said is that statement, that's what they want to capitalize on.
These Nigerians that are giving themselves problems, it is not the government per se. The government just said that on the assumption of office, it will remove fuel subsidy. And that thing has not been done. He has not even constituted any, what's it called, cabinet.
President Bola Tinubu rode into office with a truckload of promises, and now it appears no going back on subsidy removal. But will his gut see him through other pledges to revamp the nation's economy? Sahid Aribisala, Osrc News.
Meanwhile, Ondo State Governor Oluwarotimi Akeredolu has warned petroleum marketers and owners of fuel stations in the state against hoarding petrol. The warning became necessary after long queues surfaced at filling stations across the state, notably in Akure, the state capital, since Monday. The governor said all petrol stations in the state should dispense fuel in their tanks to ease the people of the long hours spent at fuel stations. Consequently, Akeredolu has directed the governor's task force to move around the state and deal decisively with any fuel station found hoarding the product. In the same vein, Kwara State Governor and Chairman of the Nigeria's Governors Forum, Abdurrahman Abdulrazak, Bayelsa State Governor Daoye Diri, and Osun State Governor Ademola Adeleke have cautioned oil marketers to avoid imposing needless hardship on the citizens through creation of artificial fuel scarcity in states across the country. The governors expressed concern over reports of sudden fuel scarcity in different parts of their states, stressing that it was totally uncalled for. Similarly, Governor Godwin Obaseki of Edo State and Governor Mr. Biodun Oyebanji of Ekiti State have threatened to clamp down oil marketers hoarding petrol in their respective states to create artificial scarcity and price hike. The governors directed oil marketers in their domain against hoarding and raising price of petrol. The oil marketers had resorted to hoarding and hiked prices immediately President Bola Tinubu announced his inaugural speech that fuel subsidy was over. Still on fuel subsidy, federal government representatives are expected to meet with the leadership of the Nigerian Labour Congress (NLC) today by 2 p.m. over the planned removal of fuel subsidy. According to the NLC National President Joe Ajaero, the position of Labour has been clear that even if President Bola Tinubu has a good intention, alternatives must be provided. Ajaero said the president should have asked questions and find out the implications of fuel subsidy removal on Nigerians on the streets. Meanwhile, the Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria (IPMAN) has said the deregulation of the oil sector and subsidy removal is the only way to make Nigeria great. The Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited (NNPCL) has since backed Tinubu on the removal of fuel subsidy. Ahead of the June inauguration of the members-elect of the 10th Ondo State House of Assembly, Governor Oluwarotimi Akeredolu has again assured the incoming lawmakers that he will not interfere in its business. Akeredolu, who stated this in Owo at a 2-day induction organized for the 26 members-elect of the 10th Assembly, said his administration holds respect and the principles of separation of powers. He said against the backdrop of an independent assembly, the 10th Assembly lawmakers would be expected to legislate properly and effectively with a view to promoting good governance and development for the overall benefit of the people. Governor Akeredolu charged the lawmakers-elect to see themselves as trustees of the entire state, noting that the decision of their constituents to elect them as representatives is a big testimony of the confidence reposed in them. The governor, who was represented by his deputy, Lucky Ayedatiwa, described the legislature as the engine room of democracy, hence the administration's robust relationship with the outgoing 9th Assembly. The newly appointed Acting Controller General, Nigeria Immigration Service (NIS), Caroline Adepoju, has promised to promote staff welfare and passport insurance. Adepoju therefore directed all passport offices nationwide to take necessary steps to ensure no Nigerian is subjected to unnecessary delays or substandard treatment in the course of applying for passports. The acting CJ read the Riot Act when it addressed top management of NIS minutes after taking over from Alhaji Issa Jere, our immediate predecessor. Adepoju affirmed that she would focus majorly on passport issues and staff welfare, as those two aspects contribute mostly to the complaints of Nigerians and NIS personnel. She announced that a stakeholders meeting would be convened in the next few days to extract the real issues in passport process and proffer far-reaching solutions. The Rivers State House of Assembly has screened and confirmed 4 commissioners' nominees sent to it by Governor Siminalia Fubara. Fubara had written to the 32-member legislature requesting the lawmakers to screen them as members of his cabinet. The commissioners designate Professor Zacchaeus Adango, a lawyer, Dr. George Kelly, Isaac Kamalu, and Professor Chinedu Nam served in the administration of the immediate past governor, Nyesom Wike. Katsina State Governor Diko Rada has announced the dissolution of all political appointments in the state. Rada's announcement followed rumors that some political appointees under former Governor Aminu Masari's administration were still operating from their offices within and outside government house. Masari, whose tenure ended May 29, did not formally announce disengagement of political appointees under his administration. Some of the political appointees were hoping the new government would renew their appointments, since they all belong to the same ruling All Progressives Congress. However, the governor directed that all political appointees hand over affairs of their offices to the most senior director in their ministries, departments, and agencies. Governor Abba Yusuf of Kano State says all cases of political violence that resulted in loss of life and property in the last 8 years would be investigated. The new headsman also insisted that the infamous case of alleged culpable homicide against Majority Leader of the House of Representatives, Ado Dogowa, would be reopened and pursued to logical conclusion. Dogowa was accused of sponsoring political violence against opposition party in Tudunwada local council area during the last National Assembly elections. About 15 persons were killed during the incident. The Abdullahi Ganduje administration had recently cleared Dogowa of any incriminating evidence that should warrant a criminal charge. A national industrial court sitting in Abuja has opened a case against the Director General, Budget Office of the Federation and 4 others over the alleged illegal dismissal of a civil servant and senior staff member of the ministry, Bilikisu Sanusi. The claimant is demanding the sum of 550 million naira in damages and an order of the court compelling the defendants to pay all her salaries, entitlements, fringe benefits, bonuses, and all other benefits incidental to her position as a staff of the Budget Office of the Federation. The presiding judge, Justice Oyebiola Oyewumi, in February, ordered the defendants to open their defense, but the case was earlier adjourned till May 30, when the defendants opened their defense, tendered their exhibits, and closed their defense. Mrs. Sanusi said in a suit against the defendants, alleged abuse of governmental powers to illegally and unlawfully withhold her salaries and entitlements for daring to expose alleged corrupt practices being perpetuated in the budget office of the Federation. Justice Oyewumi adjourned the matter till July 17 for the adoption of the final reading address. The ancient town of Daura, Katsina State, practically stood still yesterday as thousands of people from all walks of life stormed the Emir's palace to welcome home ex-President Muhammadu Buhari. Buhari, who arrived at the venue well guarded, was welcomed by a crowd from within and outside the states. The festivities saw hundreds of districts, ward and village heads adorning colorful flowing gowns with caps to march in a horse ride to pay homage. Cultural dances, hunters and vigilance groups, as well as non-government organizations, NGOs, and some members of the Buhari cabinet were present to witness the occasion. A delegation from Niger Republic was also on ground. Indian sailors numbering up to 16 will leave Nigeria today after 9 months of detention. They were detained following their prosecution alongside others at the Federal High Court, Port Harcourt, in January 2023 for infractions relating to crude oil theft. The Nigerian Navy said their large crude carrier and her 26 foreign crew pleaded guilty and elected voluntarily to enter into a plea bargain agreement with the federal government, as well as make restitution to the government. The Indian sailors on board a Norwegian vessel to South Africa will travel to India, and from there will get to their home country on June 7. The U.S. has announced measures against Kosovo for ignoring its advice to avoid raising tensions in majority Serb northern areas. It has criticized Kosovo's decision to install ethnic Albanian mayors in northern Kosovo by forcible means. Kosovo has been expelled from participating in an ongoing American-led military exercise in Europe. Protesters had tried to invade a government building amid unrest over the installation of ethnic Albanian mayors in areas where Serbs make up the majority of the population. NATO is to deploy an additional 702 troops to Kosovo after saying 30 of its peacekeepers and 52 protesters were hurt in the clashes in Vekan. Police have fired tear gas as demonstrators banned cars near the home of Senegal's main opposition leader, with tension rising in the capital days before a court verdict is expected on charges against the politician. Ousmane Sonko is being tried for libel, rape, and could face up to 10 years in prison. If convicted, he would be barred from running in next year's presidential elections. Akintunde Akeshemola has details.
Dozens of protesters clashed with security forces in Senegal's capital, Dakar, after lawmakers and supporters were blocked from visiting the home of a prominent opposition politician on trial for rape and libel. Police fired tear gas on demonstrators who built makeshift barricades along one of Dakar's main highways, and in one neighborhood set cars and a ministerial building on fire. It's the latest round of month of unrest, triggered by President Macky Sall's refusal to rule out running for a third term in office, and by court cases involving a leading rival, Ousmane Sonko, who denies wrongdoing and says the charges aimed at ruling him out of presidential elections next February. Police diverted Sonko to his house after a caravan of vehicles, including him and some supporters, had planned to enter Dakar ahead of a court judgment in a rape trial expected on June the 1st. Opposition MP Ramatulaye Bodian said politicians and mayors had planned to visit Sonko at home but were prevented by police who fired tear gas at them. Senegal's Interior Minister said the caravan had not sought permission and was stopped for security reasons. Senegal is seen as one of West Africa's strongest democracies and has a two-term limit for president, but critics of Sall worry that they will use a change in the constitution in 2016 as an excuse to reset his mandate and run again as other long-standing rulers in the region have done. Akintunde Akinshemola for Osrc News.
Sudan's army has suspended its participation in talks over ceasefire and humanitarian access, raising fears of renewed fighting that has displaced tens of thousands of people. The talks with the rival paramilitary Rapid Support Forces (RSF) began in the Saudi Arabian port city of Jeddah early this month and had produced a declaration of commitments to protecting civilians and two short-term ceasefire deals that have been repeatedly violated. The army and the RSF had agreed to extend a week-long ceasefire deal by 5 days just before it was due to expire late on Monday. Khartoum residents have reported intensive fighting in all three of the adjoining cities that make up Sudan's greater capital. North Korea's attempt to launch its first military spy satellite has ended in failure after the rocket crashed into the sea and Seoul recovered some of the debris. The launch on the first day of a 12-day window it had announced to put the satellite into orbit took place early today. The flight was a nuclear-armed state's sixth satellite launch attempt and the first since 2016. Korea state media said the rocket had come down in the sea at a point where the exclusive economic zones of China and South Korea meet, and that divers were conducting a salvage operation. And on sports, the International Olympic Committee (IOC) has condemned the way India's top wrestlers are being treated during their ongoing protests. It has also demanded an investigation into allegations that Indian wrestling chief Brij Saran Singh sexually harassed female athletes. The wrestlers were temporarily detained by police on Sunday as they tried to march to the new parliament building. They were demanding resignation and arrest of the federation chief. Mr. Singh, who is also an influential member of parliament from the governing Bharatiya Janata Party, has denied the allegations and accused the wrestlers of being politically motivated. Still on sports, Nigeria Football Federation has confirmed the arrival of the Flying Eagles in San Juan ahead of tonight's round of 16 clash against hosts Argentina in the FIFA Under-20 World Cup. After experiencing some unexpected delays, the Nigerian contingent has now settled in and focused on the task at hand. While no official explanation for the delay has been provided, several conspiracy theorists speculate that it was intended to frustrate the Nigerian squad. Meanwhile, USA and Israel have advanced to the quarterfinals of the competition after dispatching their respective opponents in the round of 16. USA walloped New Zealand 4-0, while Israel shut out Uzbekistan 1-0. And with that, we conclude Word at Noon. Thanks so much for watching. Good afternoon.